like he brought the same package, almost literally. It looks almost like a carbon copy of a year ago. I'm not a big fan of the opposing color of his trunks, but you know, for me, it takes a little bit away from the physique. But the conditioning is there. You got to consider this journey he made to hold this kind of condition. But where he's favored is he's a little bit wider in the back than a William Bonac, and he's got a little bit more detail across those quadriceps.
He's got a lot. He's got a lot of density in his muscle that you're not like back when Ronnie competed and stuff. He looks like one of the competitors from that time.
Yeah, well, because I'm 100% certain he's one of the stronger short guys. You don't get that big unless you're lifting some serious weight. But to his credit, the condition is very good.
All right. Welcome from Egypt,
Big Rami.
This is going to be an X Factor.
This is the X Factor.
Yes.
I don't think you can't take away. This guy was third place at this year's Arnold Classic way back in March. Tried to get into a qualifying show, either the Tampa or Chicago, I believe, and got sick with the COVID. And they wound up, once he was cured or at least healed from that, they gave him the special invite, and it was overwhelmingly acknowledged that he deserved it.
No, he definitely deserved it. I mean, he's one of those guys who's just that super freak. Small waist, large wide clavicle. In his legs, I've never seen legs that big.
Yeah, I mean, Rami, why don't you get under the squat rack once in a while? Yeah, his legs are from another planet.
Yeah.
That's his calling card. So we can't be too critical on what we're looking at until they get compared with each other. But his legs stand out more than anything else. I should say more than anyone else. He's like the modern day Tom Platz with a better structure. Yeah, but the calves are the part that really hurt him because it's just not enough.
A guy with that kind of big legs, arms, and not having as big a calves. I mean, I'm old school, but it seemed like the newer bodybuilders' calves is not as important.
Yeah, well, I can tell you, I'm sure he trains the hell out of those calves. It's just his quads probably respond more than anything else.
Yeah.
And again, it's also his calling card. It's probably partly why he's actually here, because you just don't see legs like that on a regular guy.
He definitely looks in shape. I'm not going to say like he's off. He looks in shape, but like let's see what he's compared.
Yeah, he came over early to Arizona and worked with Dennis the Menace James for 3 weeks to help dial himself in and you know, try to ramp it up into this competition. It's going to be interesting to see because William Bonac beat him, and William Bonac is like half the size.
Wow.
All right.
290 pounds, Big Rami.
Here's a guy, I believe it's his first appearance in the Open. He moved up from physique to classic to Open.
Wow.
Yeah, he kind of ran the gamut there. Physique to classic
to
open. Yeah, and he's one of the younger guys. Won the Romanian Pro this year.
I saw
so
that.
He got out of the country, one of the few guys that could. But in doing so, he won that competition. I think he won on balance. He's got a real pretty bodybuilder's physique.
He does have a pretty body, but comparing him to the last few competitors, the other two guys out muscle.
Got a long way to go.
Yeah.
He's also one of the younger guys in the contest. But clearly you can see the difference in the muscle maturity, density, and quality.
Yeah.
Comes with age for some of these guys. And he's a bigger guy. He's a 6-footer. Regan Grimes, by way of Canada, one of the more popular guys. And again, that transition, trying to find out where his physique is. Kind of too big for the physique. You know, for the Classic, it was a struggle to make that weight limit. And so he let it all ride on the open category. And you can clearly see the arms need a little bit more meat on the bone. The triceps could be a little bit bigger. The biceps.
It's a good first
doesn't
run.
have the muscle density like in his chest. And he's, like you said, a pretty physique.
Yeah.
But he needs 10 more pounds.
Yeah, and I think he probably knows that. But, you know, to come here to the Olympia and be amongst the best in the world, he's going to be able to see how much ground he's got to make up in the years to come.
Our next competitor from the USA, 7-time Olympia champion.
This is who I really want to see.
All right.
We're talking about the gift.
Yes,
This is the gift.
The Denver Nuggets.
Still he.
The comeback he's been on for 2 consecutive years after winning 7 in a row, getting a first runner-up to Sean Roden, and also beating Jay Cutler for the title way back when. And now he's back, had 2 minor stomach surgeries. Let's take a look at him and see what we're dealing with.
Legs look hard as nails.
This looks good.
Got a lot of oil on his
What
body.
do you think about his stomach, Sean?
Huh?
What do you think about his gut?
Yeah, I mean, you gotta get into those poses and see how
Yeah.
much it plays a factor. The signature side chest is there, one of his best shots, but the back
Nobody
is
can
usually...
beat him from the back.
Yeah, this is where the Olympians usually won and lost, right?
Yeah.
Bill was very confident in his contest prep, didn't show his flesh at all. But right now, he looks very reminiscent of an older Phil Heath.
Definitely.
Not as grainy.
No,
Not
it
as
doesn't
grainy.
look
You don't
grainy.
see the very thin skin that we used to see.
Still impressive.
Now, when he was off recovering from the surgery, it was sporadic training here and there, but once he was cleared to go all out, he was hell bent on trying to tie the record tonight, or tomorrow, I should say.
Looks phenomenal.
Looks like he's breaking a little bit of a sweat. Like I said, he had a lot of oil on his shoulders and across his chest. When you start to sweat and you have that oil on, it almost looks like you're holding water. So hopefully he winds up squeezing a little bit more of that out.
And get harder.
Get harder, exactly.
That stomach surgery may have cost him some abs.
Yeah, the stomach is not right. Huh?
Really still not like what he was when he was earlier Olympians.
Yeah, you know, you find that with a lot of aging Olympia champions, Tim, that further in their career, towards the end, the stomach is the thing that goes, like on Dorian and Ronnie and even Jay for that matter. Phil's been battling this situation. We're going to see how it stacks up with the other guys. You got to imagine the judges are looking at it.
Who's this?
Now, if there's anybody you want to cheer for,
Wow. Yeah, Dexter.
51 years young, the Blade making his final Olympia appearance. Rich, this is his 21st year on the Olympia stage.
He looks good.
The modern day Albert Beckles
Yes,
and Vince
but
Taylor, huh?
during my day was Albert Beckles at
Robbie
51.
Robinson.
He looks good. I mean, anyone at 51 still competing at that high level in the Mr. Olympia is phenomenal.
can you imagine?
Well,
No.
Dexter Jackson got a second place this year at the Arnold Classic, a contest he's won 9 times around the world. The South African Arnold Classic, the Brazilian, or I should say the Australian Arnold Classic, and the Ohio one he's won for a record 5 times. Rich, that's the one you originally won. Dexter won that 5 times.
That was phenomenal. As I retired when he became pro, but I know you stayed a little longer than me, so you competed.
Yeah, I had a chance to baptize him back in 1999.
Now, has he ever beat you, Sean?
Well, if I was up there now, he would definitely be. I'm not even going to try to go there. Dexter has outlasted all of us. He was up there with Flex and Kevin and Jay and Ronnie, and he goes
That's
all the way
crazy.
down with a lot of guys, man, that are gone. And,
That's crazy.
Still doing the business. He's not what he was in March.
I don't
but
think he is.
It
His
doesn't
stomach,
seem like any of them were in March. And maybe we can attribute that to the journey. They've all struggled to get here.
look, it's like you don't see his abs as well.
Yeah, the stomach is not as highlighted as it has been in the past, but no one's is yet.
Yeah. I'm really curious to see Brandon Curry.
Listen, all things being equal, if these guys are equally off, it's still a game.
Yeah, it's still a
a
game.
fight.
So right now, between Phil Heath and Dexter, they're pretty close when
Yeah.
it comes to
To be equally off.
yes.
They're definitely not at their peak. And here's a newcomer,
Oh,
a
here
rookie
he is.
making his debut. You know this name.
He looks incredible.
Rada.
The offspring of Hall of Fame bodybuilder Lee Labrada, who spent the better part of 8 or 9 years on the Olympic stage, garnering 2 first runner-ups. This is his son, the next generation Hunter.
That's unbelievable.
This is Lee Labrada's supersize.
Yeah.
Hunter's about 260, 65 pounds, whereas Lee was a buck 85.
And I talked to Lee, and I go, you train with your son? He goes, I can't even pick up the weight to
Yeah.
spot him.
Yeah, he doesn't want nothing to do with training. But he gives him his advices.
Yeah.
But Hunter earlier this year won the Tampa Pro Show that Tim Gardner puts on down there in Tampa, Florida, for his first pro win. Of course, he's a former national champion, overall winner. I believe it was 2018. He won that contest, and now he's rolling into this one.
I think he looks good.
Absolutely.
He looks good.
He's held it. I mean, it's a tough run from holding it from Tampa to this show.
And Tampa was, what, July?
Yeah, it was like July or August.
Yeah.
It was late in the year, or I should say it's summer, I should
You
say.
still see the maturity of William Bonac and a Phil Heath and a Dexter Jackson, the maturity of the muscle.
Yeah, I think
That's
Hunter's
a lot
probably
more
one. Yeah.
denser. So he still needs some time.
And that's age. I think Hunter's probably one of the younger guys, along with Reagan Grimes. And then, again, you can see the difference in the skin texture, where Hunter's a little bit softer from the rear.
I'm interested to see this guy, Sung Lee. He's from Korea, correct?
Yeah, he's actually got some pretty good structure to work with.
This is
Those arms.
his first Olympia.
Yeah, we don't have too many Koreans going dating back on the Olympia stage. This is one of the bigger ones.
He looks pretty good.
The stack, he's got some fullness to his muscle.
Yeah. Big chest, nice legs, separation, great arms.
Yeah, this is where I think he has a little bit of ground to make up in the lower back area. Just not quite there yet. And you can notice the calves kind of taper off.
Yeah.
Need to bring those up a little bit more. He's full upper body.
That's impressive. My athlete, Didi Yamagishi, he opened the door for a lot of these Asian.
Yeah, the Asian sensation, Hidetada, yeah.
Yeah.
He actually did the 202 or 212.
Yeah.
Well, this guy's representing well for Korea. I believe this is one of the first times I've seen a Korean in the Olympia.
This is a great first appearance for him.
Yeah.
In the open category, anyways.
Please welcome from the USA, Juan Diesel Morale.
Hey, the New Yorker, Northeast guy.
Oh, yeah. By way of New York, this is the king of New York, actually. He's got 2 New York Pro Championships to his credit. And him and his wife have the business, the cookie dealers. They make those magic cookies that
I
blow
thought
you
they
up.
were protein cookies, and I ate like 2 of them. I go, those things are not diet.
They're not diet cookies. They're like legitimate cookies.
Yeah.
He's got to have some serious discipline to go from the cookie factory into the gym and eat his asparagus and tuna.
When your cookie has a Snickers bar on the inside of it,
Yeah.
that's a serious cookie.
Yeah, you got to check them out, man. They're all over Instagram. They're blowing that business up. The bodybuilders love them.
My cookie dealer.
Yes, and right now, Juan Morel, again, slightly off.
I think he is off.
He was working with the legendary trainer Chris Cormier, the real deal. They hooked up and did a few things this offseason, and of course, it's a tough offseason with COVID and the restrictions, and New York was on lockdown for a while, and again,
No gyms.
makeshift gyms and sometimes doing push-ups, doing, I'm going to do cardio for the week, And
They did what they had to do this year, didn't they?
absolutely.
Listen, we train. I'm from New Jersey, and we had gyms that I trained at like 4 o'clock in the morning in the dark because it was not legal.
You can't turn the lights on.
You were breaking the law.
Break the law to go to the gym.
Well, Juan's midsection needs a little bit more detail. The
Yeah.
thighs need a little bit more sweeps. I'm not
Cold
telling him
water.
anything he doesn't know. He's a little soft right now.
Please welcome.
But he's here at the Olympia, which is where he belongs because he's obviously one of the best bodybuilders in the world.
All right. Lucas has had a good year. A really good year. Has beautiful muscle tone. Very dry, very full the last shows I've seen him at.
Yeah, Lucas has a couple of Arnold Classics to his credit. Won the Arnold Classic in, I believe it was in Brazil.
Wow.
And he's one of those guys that is very flexible. You'll notice later on in his posing routine, he's one of the few guys that can do something with his glutes. He kind of rolls them the way Chris Cormier used to roll his abs.
Rolling your glutes.
This, something he usually hits it in the side shot. Let's see if it's coming. Here we go. What's he going to do?
Yeah.
He usually messes around with it in the side poses. Here we go. He's going to do it?
Yeah, I can
Maybe
see
he
a
might be
little bit.
saving it for his posing routine. But he's one of the more flexible bodybuilders.
That's a good thickness to him. Yeah, I can see his glutes there.
The back needs a little bit more
I just
thickness
think he
to it.
needs more thickness to the back.
So, on or off, guys, it's pretty even right now.
Well, again, when we see them all next to each other, right? We're almost holding our
Yeah.
collective breath to make a real assessment, and you have to have the comparison.
hard.
I look great right now, Tim. If you saw me right now, woo, it varies on the lighting, right?
We're gonna do a pose down, Sean.
Until I'm compared with Rich,
I'm holding the camera.
I'm the king. Rich might put me to shame. He's in the gym lifting the heavy stuff, but this guy right here is pretty on point for where he normally
Is
is.
this what he looks, Sean?
Yeah, this is
I'm
what he
not
typically
familiar
looks
with him
like.
as much.
Yeah. He's not one of those guys that jumps out at you, but if he picks the right show with the right lineup, he kind of shines a little bit more. he might get a little bit lost in the crowd when he's compared with some of the other guys.
Please welcome from the USA, Justin Rodriguez.
And it's Brandon coming on. Justin Lewis
He's the
Rodriguez.
champ for later.
All right, Justin's made appearances in the Olympia and the Arnold Classic in 2018. He looks pretty hard right now.
It's pretty thick. Nice sized legs, arms.
Good arms. His arms are good.
Really good arms.
He was in the Chicago Pro that was held in Atlanta, not to confuse anybody. And he also, I believe, was in the New York Pro held in Tampa.
New York Pro in Tampa. Yeah.
Along with Dexter Jackson, who did compete in the Arnold Classic, but this guy, like a lot of other guys, had to do a couple of shows to get here, and typically the last one is the hardest one.
I think he looks good. I think he's really.
I don't think it looks bad.
No.
I mean, again, you have to see him compared to other competitors. He's got great shape.
He's using a little bit more tricep. See the biceps?
Yeah,
are
I
nice?
see the
He needs a little bit more thickness
A
on
little
those
off on the
triceps.
tricep.
Yeah. And that can make all the difference in the world, by the way.
I mean, decent abs. But like you said, Sean, he has big arms.
Yes. Sometimes the run up to setting up the poses, like this is your free like 1 minute posing, right?
Yeah.
But it looks very static and kind of, you gotta have some better swagger to that, right? Like a little more choreography into it, so it doesn't look like you're struggling.
Need to practice more in the posing, and I've criticized the new pros not doing as much as what we did.
Right.
You know, when it came to
Thank
the
you,
posing.
Justin Rodriguez.
How much would you practice back in the day?
I did over an hour and a half a day after training. I go in the middle of the day, pose. And then sometimes I've seen these guys not doing as much, like you said, on that routine. Should have been a lot more flowing.
Yeah.
Okay, this is a new guy for me, Antoine Valiant.
Yeah, Canadian.
Canadian.
Antoine.
Antoine.
We got to get the names right, man. Rich, they came after me. They came for me.
All right, Antoine punched his ticket to the Olympia with a win at the California Pro.
Which was held in Las Vegas, Tim. I was there, front row. And that was one of those shows where they did not allow fans in. And Antoine was actually trying to get there. That was his qualifying competition. He held off Max Charles and I believe also held off Justin as well to get here. Lower back is used a little bit more development, huh? Looks a little bit light for the open category. Let's see a little bit more meat on that. A little heavier.
Definitely needs more size.
He gets pretty big though. Some guys, they just diet a little too hard and they wind up getting a little stringy.
I mean, right now that comes to mind. I still see, Rami, Phil Heath, William Bonac, and Hottie.
Much more thicker.
Sticking out right now. Those are right to me right there. Those are the 4 guys right now. I know all those guys.
With Brandon still at the pose.
Yeah, we haven't seen Brandon now, but that's who I see right now as more the top 4.
And Akeem. Still got Akeem Williams.
Yes.
Yeah, if you remember back in the day, Rich, this was not how the Olympia was started.
No.
Mr. Olympia started when you were doing it in the 80s. The entire lineup would come out to do quarter turns for about 40 minutes before you actually hit one of these bodybuilding poses. So this is a change that came along during my era, so the judges kind of get it in their mind who's on and who's off.
Yeah.
And now you'll really
Good
see who's
idea.
on and off once they get to compare against each other. Go all the way back over to Canada again. How do you say the name, Tim?
Yeah,
say that.
Ian Valieri.
Ian Valieri.
Ian
Rich doesn't
Valieri.
want to try
I
it.
don't want to try it.
I got butchered when I tried. I messed up some names that came for me on Instagram. All right, Ian Valieri.
All right, second at the Tampa Pro. First at the New York Pro.
Held in Tampa, by the way.
Held in Tampa.
Yeah, Hunter McBride held him off in Tampa, and then he came back to Tampa several weeks later to win the New York Championship, which got him here by way of Canada.
That is,
Yeah, it's you get to the Olympia, you got to have a back, right?
Yeah. I mean,
You have the width. It
You
doesn't
win
have
these qualifying shows, but now this is the big one.
Yeah, I think this is one of his better shots, the side chest.
Yeah.
It shows off the hamstring. The election is better from the side than from the rear. leg kind of looks Dorian Yates-ish in
Yeah.
that side tricep pose. It's an interesting physique in this lineup.
Yes.
See how they compare him.
Please welcome your next competitor from the USA, Akeem Williams.
Here we go. Akeem!
Gee.
The boy upstairs for the fourth floor. I always tell him that. Coming to America. It's spelled Akim, but it's
Akim.
pronounced Akeem.
Akeem. Yeah, I would have said Akam.
Yeah, he won the Chicago Pro held in Atlanta, Tim.
Yes.
Wow. He's thick.
Yeah, Victor Richards like
Really thick.
thickness.
Yeah, but he's hard. Legs look really separated and hard. Thick chest.
Very strong bodybuilder training
Wow.
in New York City. Another one that had to use the ingenuity of making do with what he could. So he was lifting
Look
up
at that
cars.
side.
He was picking up cars on the sidewalk.
When Victor Richards would come into our gym in California where I was working for a guy, the owner would cry about him using the cardio equipment.
Yeah.
Please keep him off our bikes. He's going to break them.
Don't break
He
him.
was so big.
Well, Akeem is one of those guys that you see him coming, you think, he's not there to work out, he's there to destroy the gym. And so he's got really wide lats.
You know what? He's one of the guys I put near like top 5, top 6 right now with the guys that we just saw.
Yeah, he's got a lot of improvement over the last couple of years, slowly but steady. Because he had very thick skin and wasn't coming in shape in several of the shows, but all the tools were there, and he's here by way of victory.
Stomach looks good.
Yeah, he's got a very unique physique. There's no other physique in this competition that compares to that, stacks up. He's a very unique individual physique.
Thank you, Akeem.
All right, Akeem. All right, and then there was one gentleman.
Wow, they
No
kept
one.
Brandon for last, huh?
No one. He's the 15. He's number 15. That's what he calls himself.
He is your reigning, defending Olympia champion, Brandon Curry.
By way of Tennessee via Kuwait, back to Tennessee, and the king is here.
All right,
Father of 4.
fans, let's see what we got here.
Looks hard.
Yeah, first blush, he looks really good.
Yeah, looks good. Legs look good.
That yellow's popping too. That's actually a nice color for his dark skin.
Yeah.
Soul Brother number 1 turned pro by way of winning the USA's, and then he got his pro card. He floundered somewhere in 15 and 16 and 14 and 8th place, and almost didn't know whether or not he was going to be able to continue doing this. And boom, he broke out and won the Arnold Classic, the very first one held in Brazil. That was back in
This is where we
2013.
have to see him against Phil from the back.
Well, since Phil took leave, Brandon went on to win the Arnold Classic Championships, and of course the same calendar year would go on to win the Mr. Olympia in 2019.
All right, I got to ask this, guys, because on the West Coast it was golds. Out on the East Coast, you had what? Bevs. What was the big the Mecca?
Diamond Gym.
Diamond. What's with Kuwait? What's with Oxygen?
Oxygen Gym. That's where all the guys are
The way
making They treat the bodybuilders like thoroughbreds over
yes,
there.
like Arabian horses. All these guys.
Yeah, and you can see it paying off between Big Ramy and Rolly Winkler and Brandon Curry. Those
Brandon
guys go over there and they just throw the weights around. They feed them and cater to their every need. They love these guys. They want them to do well. He's got a whole other country in Kuwait cheering for him because he's over there training to look this good.
Very impressive.
Brandon pretty much is picking up where he left off a year ago.
He looks like he did last year, I would say. Or maybe a better, I think.
All right, as you've seen our initial lineup, 16
But now here's where
best
it's going to be
here on the
different.
Olympia stage.
The comparison.
Looks like the judges got their work cut out for them. We're going to bring our guys back now into our groups. If I can have group 1 on the center line, please.
All right, so they kind of bring them out in groups just to get a good look before they actually do the individual call-out comparisons for points. Rich, you want to go to Kuwait and put in some time? I see you on Instagram. You look like you still got the eye of the tiger.
I'm just enjoying lifting, having fun.
All right. This is good his first call. I mean, this
There
is
you go.
random.
Oh, that's a random
Yeah, this
call.
is a
out.
random comparison call.
You got
The judges haven't made their decision yet. But look at how big Rami is at 290. That shows you a difference.
Mr. Steve
I mean, Hadi's all of 5'7".
impressive body for a short guy.
Yep.